Carol here. Warm welcome to my craft room, and look at this beautiful country kitchen. It is equipped with 10 stamps and 6 coordinating dies. It is vintage, old-fashioned, kind of like the Elmira wood stove I used to have and cook with when we lived up north. And I am calling this Fill Your Cupboards because that's what I'm going to do. I did not concentrate on the coloring, which I did with the Caron Pro markers and on watercolor paper. I decided to go with the back of the stamps the way that the image was colored in, and it was with the teal, the greens, the teal blue, you know, that country kitchen look. And it has the country kitchen curtains, kind of like gingham, and I'm going to share with you what I did along this journey, and I'm calling it Let's Fill Your Cupboards, and that's exactly what I did. I actually made little canned goods, and you'll see how I did it, and I put canned goods and teacups and chocolate chip cookies in the oven baking with the racks, silver racks like you have in the old-fashioned you know, the metal racks, and we're going to make all that, my friends, and you're going to love it. You are, because I loved creating it. I couldn't wait to get this LDRS creative project up for you. Now, what I'm doing now, I just pressed some of the green hybrid ink in because when I woke up in the morning, I didn't have enough of the green. So I just, even though I used the Caron markers, I wanted to have some of the hybrid ink to accentuate some of the green that had, you know, when you're using watercolor, it fades. So I wanted to brighten that up. Then I'm going to go around the edges with a black marker, just so that the white wasn't showing, which I usually do. Now, I die cut all of the little utensils. We're going to use that beautiful glass jar with the flowers in it, but without the flowers. Wait till you see what we're going to do. We are going to use some of the 6x6 gorgeous LDRS creative papers. And look at, when you ran that die through, this is a single die, my friends. You get both of these. You get the cupboards, you get the stove, and the window up above. You get all of that in one stamp. Now, I have the funniest story here. This is duct tape. I went into my husband's work truck and I got this. And as I was getting it, this is the day that I worked in the shop with him. I went to get out of the truck and I slid. Yeah. And I fell, but I was okay. So I will always remember how I got this duct tape. And duct tape is beautiful for mixed media, but it's beautiful for making well, cast iron, aluminum, whatever. I'm going to show you how I made the oven racks out of this. So I put the tape down on a thin piece of white. You can use thick, it doesn't matter, 65, 80, 110 pound paper, whatever. I chose the lighter of the paper and I put the duct tape over top. And then we're going to take it to let me just see here. We're going to, oh yes, I wanted this to show through when you opened up the doors, but I ended up not doing that in the end. I ended up doing something else. But if you want that look behind the cupboards and the oven and that, this is the way to go. Just die cut something else. Not only will it give you that look, but it's also going to give you stability and weight. And that's what I like in my cards. So I cut this shiny out, and this is going to make the racks in my oven that we're going to put our chocolate chips on. Yes. And because it's an interactive card that all of the windows open, the cupboard doors open, the stove opens up, you have to have food in it. You just can't leave it without food. And don't forget, when you have anything that opens up cupboards, you have to have something in the background to stabilize whatever it is you're doing. Like kitchen cupboards have either paper behind it, wood behind it. It has something. And that's the beauty of creating, right? So I'm going to take a plastic, you can do this with a credit card, motel door card, anything you have hanging around. Press it down, the duct tape down into the die that you just, in my case, I just watercolored there. There we go. And I want it to be shiny for now. Here, get it right, Carol. It's the other way, actually. You can see that. I don't know what I was doing there, but I'll show you what I did after. The reason why I wanted this is when you opened up the doors, I wanted to have silver on the other side of the doors. This is the only way I could think it would be manageable, and that is to die cut another die with the duct tape on it and take out all the little holes. Is this not adorable? I loved creating with this. You're going to love creating with this. This country kitchen feel. There goes my vacuum. Oh yeah, sucking up those little pieces parts. And so here we go. We're going to put this on there so that, and then remember, when you want something to show reversed, you want to reverse your paper and put the die down. Cut it so that the paper side is up and your silver is behind it, because you're going to open up those doors, right? If you reversed this, you would have white. I hope that makes sense. So you're going to want to tape it and die cut it opposite. So you have one die cut, that's the actual cupboard and stove that you painted in with the Karen markers or whatever medium. And then you take the duct tape, put it on some light cardstock, because this has to fold, my friends. You're going to fold this. The thicker the cardstock, the harder it is for you to have to bend it. So I took my little scissors. They're so sharp, and I love these scissors. These, what's a Ginger, or I'm not sure. I call it a Ginger scissors. I collect them. I love them. And this is the little stork one. It's so crazy sharp and pointy. It's for those real detail parts I wanted to get off of here. So we'll move along. Honestly, this was like many, many hours of editing down to an hour and a half. And it seems long, I know. But can you imagine if I put all of the coloring in here and I didn't speed it up? We would be here forever together. Yes, ever together. So here we are. I'm just making sure that this is pliable. It's going to fold nicely because I'm going to be creating from scratch canned goods. Oh yes, you're going to love it. We're going to have some peas, some corn, some all kinds of goodness that you're going to see. And it's going to be glass jars. We're going to have see-through bottoms on the jars, and we're going to seal them like a mason jar with silver lids. And we're going to make that together. And they're teensy-weensy little minis, little mini, like, you know, people make mini furniture. Well, I'm making mini food. Oh yeah, we are together. Now I had a Sharpie silver pen, which worked beautiful for the edges. I didn't want to see white, and my doors are all opening where you have the silver showing. Isn't this adorable? This is so adorable. You already have the dishes there, my friend. You already have the curtains. If you just want to not, I did a lot, like I even did a curtain rod. Yes, I even put curtains on top of curtains and made my own curtain rod for the kitchen. I had a blast with this. And this is just taking a little bit farther detail, and you're going to love it. Now, in a country kitchen, I was thinking the 50s, and I wanted to do a one perspective tile floor where you're just going to draw a line in the top. I'm going to leave you a video because I couldn't put this teaching lesson all in my tutorial, or it would have been too long. But I am going to share a little bit of it, and then you can go right to the link. Sorry about my head there. It keeps popping in there. And you're going to just need a ruler. A centering ruler would be nice. And then the sliding ruler. I can't remember what you call this. I used this in college and I have kept this. I love it. I just like it because of the sliding. I can just slide it into place and draw my lines. So you're going to just have a center line on the top, a full line across, on the bottom not so long, and then you're going to take it and you're going to draw out. I did 1/2 inch, but I think it would have been nice to do a 1/4 of an inch along the bottom. And then you're going to take one end of the top of your line, so you have a center line, then you're going to draw a point on each side of the top line, and then you're going to connect them with the measurements you put on the bottom. For me, it was a 1/2 inch across. every 1/2 inch. I put a dot, and then I connected that dot with my 2 measuring points at the top. It's called a center perspective and floor. And see how that ruler just slides. You can get this, I think this one I got at Beatty's. Or I don't know if it's my older one, I'm not sure, but you can get them at any stationery store. Then I moved the tutorial along so you can see how you're going to erase all of the inside lines, and then we're going to end up with a checkerboard, black and white floor. And I just love this. Now, I know I'm talking fast. I just didn't want it to be over 2 hours long. I know that's crazy. My videos are super long, and but if you're going to teach something and you're going to have techniques in it for inspiration, you can't take out everything. It wouldn't be wise for me to do that, so I keep as much of it in as I possibly can. So here we go. I'm just going to roll these lines out. You want to go to this video. If you want to make this floor, here I'm just making an extra line past the bottom line. I didn't know how much I needed to see of these checkerboard squares, so I went further along. And then what I don't need, I'm going to just erase. You know that top, yeah, right there. I'm showing you, I don't need it past that line because the die, the stamped image that I die cut is going to take up quite a bit of the space over to the left. And then we're going to make our own glass table. Yes, our own glass table. And it's going to look real. And it is from the set, the Slimline set, because we are using the scallop Slimline die. And I love, you know, this is the rage right now, is making these Slimline cards. And I thought I would jump right on the bandwagon as well, because I designed for LDRS Creative and this was sent to me to design with. And of course I'm going to design with it. And if you're going to do a lot of erasing, my friends, this is the tiny mini eraser. People ask me what the names of these are. This is a Mono Zero. They call it, this eraser. It's made by Tombow. And it's called Mono Zero. It's the tiny little eraser, mini eraser. And then they make the large one. So you have the mini eraser, and then let me get this one. It's the Speed Erase. And this one that I have is made by Sanford, but you can get a Tombow larger one. And so here we have to pick out a pen that we're going to use. You can use a Copic. I find you need to have something firmer than a Copic. A Copic has too much elasticity in the end of it, you know, the bendability part. So I went to a Staedtler Permanent Lumicolor Duo. It has a fine point at one end and a medium point at the other end. And it's a permanent, it's made in Germany, it's a permanent marker. You get these at any stationery store. So it's a Staedtler. I will put it in the link for sure. So I'm using the fine side to draw my lines, because I've already put the pencil mark in. And then I put a pencil mark check where I want to have the black tiles. You don't want to end up putting a black tile where a black tile does not go. It will mess up the actual design of having a checkerboard floor. And we're going to use, my case, I used the crystal, 3D crystal lacquer, but you can use the, you know, the stuff we always use there. I want to say Versamark, but it isn't that. It is the, it'll come to me. I always say that, and it does. So we're going to put that over top so it looks nice and shiny, just like the 50s tiled floors used to look. You know, the black and white checkerboard floors. I just love that look. So I am taking the time to just show you what this video will show you. And it is easy. And the video that I'm going to take you to link is not a talking video. It just shows you exactly on a piece of paper the lines you need to draw, the perspective points, makes it nice and easy if you want to do this very same floor as I am doing. So if I can do it, my friends, you know I always do it so you can do it. I don't do anything that I don't think somebody else could follow along with. So I'm erasing the lines around, you know, the markered lines that I made. Always keep a paper towel because you don't want to get your hand, what do you call it? I'm thinking sweat. I go right to but you don't want to have the markings from your hand onto the page, right? Onto your paper. So keep your hand resting on some paper. That's all I'm saying. So you don't get your handprints. That's what it is, handprints. So now all the little checks we're going to color in with the black marker, and the others we're going to leave white. Just the same color as your page, and here it's all coming together, and you have that 1 point perspective. It is getting smaller as we move forward, and the tiles are larger as it is, you know, close to us. So you can see how this perspective falls into place, and the tile floor looks absolutely fabulous, doesn't it? So I wanted to get wallpaper in the background because obviously the paper's not big. It's on the Slimline paper, so it's wide and long. So I had to stop someplace on the centering of the lines, and I just said, okay, I'm going to get some beautiful matching paper, the LDRS creative paper. We're going to cut it. It's approximately 1.5 inches. We're going to put it on the back so I don't have to color any more of the tiles. I knew that on the left-hand side there, I was going to cover up probably 1/3. So it does run with the rule of thirds, doesn't it? I'm going to use up 1/3 of coming down on the page with wallpaper. Now, my friends, you want to pick see how this green paper that I'm running through my little Xyron, you don't want to have some kind of paper that's all, you know, coming at you. You don't want flowers. You don't want a great big gingham look. You want a tiny design is what I'm trying to say. And that green was a brighter green than the green in our stove and our cupboards. So it just made sense. And it's 6 by 6, so you know you're going to get a line, right? You're going to have to join 2 pieces together, but that's fine. You just cover it up with something, and that's what we're going to do with this set. So the best tape I thought to use on the back of my duct tape would be the orange tape because it's super sticky and it will stick to anything. Then just take your flat little piece of acrylic, like, you know, like I said, like a credit card or whatever, and press it down into the duct tape so it won't move. And you'll have sticky all over. We end up having to put that orange tape on the entire back. Now, you're going to use another piece of lightweight paper. You're going to put a little section because this is going to be the grills in the stove. I loved my Elmira wood stove, I'm telling you. We would bring in the wood, and we actually would heat our home with wood, and we would cook on our Elmira wood stove. You I'll leave a link to the Elmira wood stove so you can see what I actually had raising our children. We would put the mittens on the top of the Elmira wood stove so they would dry, and we would put the wood in there and make beautiful apple pies. I made all my own bread. Everything went in that Elmira wood stove, and I loved it. Before long, you can tell how hot the oven is just with how many pieces of wood you put in it. Oh yeah, I lived on the land, my friends. So here we go. That's why I love living on my husband's farm here, his family farm. It's our family farm now, but it just has a lot of heritage, and I just love things that have stood the test of time, like this beautiful stove, country kitchen with the country kitchen cupboards. So you're going to take the duct tape and you're going to take your scoreboard and your scoring tool and score on every line going down. So it looks like you have the elements inside, you know, the racks inside your stove. And I love to get things to look a little more realistic because the door's open. So on the one side, it's all stainless steel, which you wouldn't have in a country kitchen. Well, maybe in the Elmira wood stove. I can't remember what the racks were. I don't think they were stainless steel, but that's what I'm going for. So I scored on each line so that it looked like stainless steel racks in the oven when you open the doors. And we are going to make ourselves some chocolate chip cookies. I went grocery shopping today and I bought a great big 20, 50 pound, I don't know, flour, you know, my Robin Hood flour. And then I bought gazillion chocolate chips because I made this and all I could think of was baking my homemade chocolate chip cookies. So I bought some of that to store away. So I had my baking goods, and I'm going to make some chocolate chip cookies. If I have time, I'll tell you a story about that. So here I had these little sequins, these little tiny little round gold sequins, and I took them out, and they're from my jewelry stash, and I put them as the little openers on the front of, this is the oven, right? So even in the cupboards, I wanted to have little touch of faint gold, kind of like an old-fashioned, I didn't want it to look like real gold, just kind of, yeah, just what it looks like there, a little gold handle. And then I took my pick stick with my orthodontic wax on the end that is super sticky, so you never have to replace your picker sticker. You just have to put some fresh ortho wax. And you get so much of it when you buy the little containers, so you never have to worry about having a sticky picker-upper. So now I'm going over the edges. I have my little stainless gold circles on the opening of the doors. And then on the top window portion, I'm going to have, I changed it up from being a window to being a cupboard. Even though you see the blue sky in the front, I wanted something different. So I concentrate on that silver, on the kitchen cupboard, making it look, the curtains look like it's on a curtain rod. I wanted a realistic looking curtain rod. So after I blacken out my floor, we are going to put the glossy accents. See, that's the word, the glossy accents, because I want this to rest all night, because the glossy accents or crystal lacquer is going to be very thick. Look at me go here. I am pouring this on, my friends. You can see I have got a good squeeze to this. It's coming out like crazy, and I wanted it to be thick, and I wanted it to shine like those checkerboard floors always used to shine. And yeah, I just wanted that vintage look on this Stamp and Die image, you know, the images here, and I sure did get it. So I stuck a heavy ruler down on my wallpaper to hold it overnight, and that rested, and when I woke up, oh my shattered nerves, did it look realistic. So I took my crystal lacquer, I went over my breadboard that says made with love. Isn't it adorable? This is a stamp and die. It die cut, and then you have your spatula, your whisk. We're going to put glossy accents on that. I'll just call it glossy accents, save time. We put it on the dishes here, so we even put it on the milk jug beside the dishes. And yes, it was adorable. I did not put it on any of the cupboards. I didn't want anything to have that shine to it other than the dishes, the milk jug. I'm going to try to hone in here. Oh, I did the background, the blue sky part. Because right here, I hadn't decided whether it was going to be an image looking outside or whether I was going to do the cupboard thing. And look at how beautiful that crystal lacquer dried on our checkerboard floor. Love this look with the deep black and that beautiful kind of lime green wallpaper. It takes you back, doesn't it? Yes. And then I thought, oh, I got to have a cupboard using the paper line, the wood grain. I mean, that's what they had in the 50s. Everything was like wood, fake wood and paneling. Remember all the paneling and shag carpets and the Elvis velvet paintings, black and red. Your black and red lamps that used to be on each side of your black leather couch. Oh yeah, that's what we did in the day. That was the rage. And then I took the navy paper from this collection and I made it for the back of the cupboards because I've got planks to set our food on, our jars. We're going to have glass jars and we're going to make it out of the packaging that the stamp set came in. I'm just going to slide it out, and acetate is too thick. Even a thin acetate will not fold up that small and stay rounded. Even with the orange tape, believe you me, I tried everything. And the thing that worked the best to have glass jars is the packaging. It is so pliable that I just put the orange tape on the top, rolled it out just once, and we're going to fill those little glass jars. We're going to put a silver lid on it and a see-through glass bottom. Isn't that fabulous? This was honestly so wonderful. And then on the back, I wanted it to be like the checkerboard. I wanted to have a actual design in the back of the duct tape so that the silver looked like it was something that somebody made for the back of these beautiful opening doors. Isn't that wonderful? So I thought, okay, I got to go to my jewelry and I have to get a handle, a long handle on this. It could have been a microwave. You could make it without putting the blue on there to look like a microwave and put black behind it. That'd be totally awesome. So many possibilities here. I mean, really. So I found this long silver, for making jewelry. Obviously, you're going to have wire go through it. And then I looked up and I said, I want to make my own curtain rod. And I want my curtains to fall on the curtain rod. So we're going to do that. And look at my cupboards. Look at my oven. Oh my. I loved this interactive die set. I loved it. I love the fact that I have planks inside when you open up the doors to set my food on. And you're going to love doing this exact same thing. It's not hard. It is enjoyable. It's only time consuming. So here we go. I found these in my jewelry stash. These they go in between your glass beads. I can't think of the right words for it, but they separate your beads. They're separators. And I found this stainless gold one that matched the little dot door handles. So I got two of them. And doesn't that look like the end of a curtain rod, my friends? It took a while. I did that with hot glue. You want to use E6000, okay? The E6000 was great. I now buy them in the tiny tubes because if the big ones would just dry up, where I will use all of this, you know. I've had the 3 of these forever. So you're going to just put enough on there to take that jewelry bead spacer, and you're going to put it at the end of your curtain rod right there. Love that it's that brushed gold. I just love it. And you're going to hold it down there, and we're going to have 1 at each end. Now, trust you me, you're going to want to get your tweezer ready. This is the key to using E6000, especially small portions of it, because it dries super quick. So you want to get that down, get your reversible tweezer, and have it ready and hold it there. I have a part of the tweezer inside the spacer, and you can see that I didn't waste time. I had to get on that really quick, set it down. Then we're going to go to my jewelry stuff, and we're going to get a pin, and it's going to have a flat end to the pin. They're just called flat head pins, I guess. Super. You don't have to be very, my brain, you don't have to be, you know, knowledgeable to know it's a flat headed pin. How's that? Yes. And I put 1 on one side. As you can see, I just took my pokey tool from my set that I bought. Remember, this is my dental set, I call it, my ortho set. And talk about a pokey tool. Oh yes, this has got a huge long point end to it. I love it. Then you're going to set that on your E6000. Then you're going to get a pin long enough to put through. You can have wire, whatever. I just wanted a realistic looking curtain rod, and I wanted it to be in gold. So I'm just going to heat it a little bit so it would dry set for me. And then I went to my stash, and I got out all of the pins that I thought would be long enough. Yes, if you've watched any of my tutorials, you know I have a stash of jewelry products. I am so excited when I get a chance to use it. And I know my friend Debbie will appreciate me saying this. Now that's a pretty end, but it's silver and it's bulky. And it just, see how it slides through each of these, and then you just get a cutter and cut the end. But it didn't match. You have to have a flat end pin. So I just looked and looked until I found one, you know. This little container is from the dollar store where nothing's $1. And I bought a bunch of these to sort out my jewelry. And I still need to get more just to make it more organized. There's our flat end pin. Oh yeah, I love it. This flat end, I'm just trying to show you somehow. There we are. It's so important for me that you and I as friends, we connect together so we know what we're doing. It's like you're sitting right here with me, and we're talking and yakking, and we're showing each other how we create and inspire one another. And I just love giving you some ideas, just kind of taking it up 1 notch. Take your interactive die up a notch, fill those cupboards up with either stamped images that you cut out. There they are right there, flat end gold pins. So excited to find those. Then I'm going to snip it off with my snippers. I'm going to do some Prismacoloring on some more plates and teacups in the set. This 10 stamp set has everything. It has, oh, I'm showing you this glass bowl that I keep my pencils in, because that's what told me you have to have a glass table, Carol. You have to have a kitchen glass table, and you have to have a glass, you have to have like that same look to put your spatula, your spoon, your whisk in on the table. That was where I got my inspiration, from my own glass jar that I keep my pencils in. So I stamped out another image here to get and clear embossing powder as well, LDRS Creative Embossing Powder. You can get it in white and clear. And I've had this clear embossing powder forever. Then I wanted to make gingham curtains. So how I did it was I used my Staedtler pens, my extra fine tip pens. I did it in red and black stripes, okay? Then I left a little bit of white, and I'm going to fill in that white with my Signo broad tip white pen. And you're going to give it some lines so that the curtains have some movement. That's what that's all about. Then I'll go back on the every other wide spot and match up the red. I really like that red in the curtains I made first before I wanted to have these, because these need to set up on my, oh, I'm just showing you my ginger, I don't know what, it's ginger, my two scissors that I really love to fussy cut with. Especially the Stork scissors. They're super fine. They get in those little tiny areas that I needed to get into, and that was the curtains. And I cut it along with keeping the curtain rod stamped image in there, but you don't need to. All I need is each one of those curtains to go on either side of my realistic curtain rod. That's all I needed. And we are going to make it work. So see how fine these Stork scissors fussy cut? It was wonderful. Look at that. It just really is adorable. But we're going to end up cutting that off because all I need is the actual fabric of the curtain. Yes. And when I do these things, I think realistically. I don't think cartoony. I think realistically. What would this be if I did it large and then I mini it up, if you know what I mean? I make it teensy weensy. And I'm telling you, you will love it. You will love it. Just let your imagination soar and come up with these tiny little images, which is great. You can get that. I'll show you with the teacups. We're going to put the teacups in there. And now I need to take my black Staedtler marker and outline my curtains. And then we're going to go the opposite way. I think I do when I do this. I have it sped up just a tiny bit. But it is the detail that makes an interactive card come to life. It's those little tiny detailed things that you create. Doesn't take you long. It just takes a huge imagination to bring it to that level. And then here's my Signo pen. And yeah. And you know, if you look at the design team cards using this stamp and die, each one of us has a different look that is fabulous. Our design team members, Angie's design team members, they are super talented, super talented. And just go over to the shop where it says inspiration, press that link, and you will get all of the videos that the design team members made with these exact stamp and die sets. And leave them a comment, encourage them if you would, because everybody puts everything into inspiring you. And I'm sure that they would appreciate that. Once we get the one vertical way with the white Signo pen going, we're going to take the black marker, the Staedtler marker, and we're going to go the opposite way with the black marker, just to give it a little bit of, I don't know, a distinctive kind of look there, you know, to the pattern. It's just up to you, whatever you like on your curtains on this country stove and cupboard collection. You're going to love it. So here we go. I have my pin all glued inside the two. I think I do. I have to look at it here, trying to get it close up so it's not blurry, putting the pin in there. No, I don't think I have it in there yet. I can still see the black. See that right there? And you could do this as well. You could put that right over top and it would look just as nice if you don't have a pin. Of course it would. It's in the collection design and it's really pretty. I just chopped off the ends, you know, the two rod ends, the black part there in the stamped image, and then I cut off the actual bar going across because I do like to get as much of the realism into this project as I can. So that's what I went with. I didn't have to fussy cut that, but if you like that look, by all means leave it on there and then raise it up like I did with double-sided tape. You can use the Scotch, you can use the LDRS thin strips on the double-sided tape. On my blog, I will try. Look at how my spatula is stuck there. So here we have it. And don't forget to color that white section. I just want to mention that because there's nothing there. You're going to see through it, right? It's the material coming together as curtains. So you want to put brown, just like the wood behind it. So I thought of that later. I kept looking at it and thinking to myself, something is off here. And what it is that is the curtain rings. And you need to make the inside of that brown. So here I'm just going back and trying to find all the little detail, make sure it's all done and all the lines are connected. I mean, you don't have to be, oh, and then I said I did 3 high with the LDRS strips. I did 2. See how I crossed it off and then I put a little toothless figure. So I got out my thin paper. This is thin. And then I took my E23 brown. And the 2-3, the 2-5, and the 2-7 is a nice collection of browns. The E, the E. And 2-3, that's what I'm using here. It kind of has that caramel chocolate chip dough part. And then I had these 2 punches. I think this is, yes, it's a 1/4 inch. I have it down there where my thumb is. It's a 1/4 inch. And then I have an 1/8 of an inch one. That's tiny. And that's our chocolate chip. So on the bottom where you open up the door on your oven, you're going to want larger chocolate chips because it has more space there showing to me, you know. And then the top rack is smaller and there's my 1/8 of an inch punch. No, this is my 1/4 of an inch punch, excuse me, I'm sorry. And then I realized, oh no, you have got to do both sides because you know, you don't want to see through it. So I just quickly went over it with the E23 and there you have it. Look at that. Isn't that a nice color? I even do the bottom. I wasn't sure how many chocolate chips, but all you need is 2, 4, 6. 6 large and 2, 4, 6, 8. I think 8 small. We shall see when we go. And then I stayed in, I think, in the E family. And we'll see what color I use. I can't remember off the top of my head, but look at this, chocolate chip galore. I have a few videos that I did chocolate chip cookies on, so I remember using this exact punch. This is why I can't get rid of my punches, because you know it's that day when you need an 1/8 of an inch round punch or a 1/4 of an inch. And here they are. Wonderful. Then take your pokey tool and hold it down and lightly, I'm going to say this, lightly with your Copic marker, just barely hit that cardstock and make your chocolate chips. I'm trying to see which color I used here. I'm trying to separate them there. All I need is a quick glance and then I'll have it for you. So here we go. I think I end up, once I glue it down, I end up going back and making it just a little darker. Come on, E, is it 3-7? Oh, I can't see it. It might be the 3-7. If you stop it, you will see which one it is. And you can see how much darker it is, can't you? I might have to stop it myself just to see because I have put them away already. Anyway, you're going to end up with a this is a good first batch of chocolate chip cookies, but you can see our space is limited. So we're going to take our pick stick and with our orthodontic wax that I put on it, And you can see we're only going to be able to put 2, 4, 6 across the large space. So the bottom does have a large space. It can, and it did, as you can see, accompany 6 chocolate chip cookies nicely. And yeah, it's so sweet. It is so sweet. And actually, this could be, you know, you could use a base to set your chocolate chip cookies on. Like here, it just looks like, I don't know what I put them on to have the silver, you know, grates there. And you need something for your chocolate chip cookies to rest on. So I could have put a lighter colored sheet on there to resemble a cookie sheet, but it would have taken away the whole thought of having a stainless steel wires on the inside of a stove. You know, whether they did in the 50s, I can't remember. But I did have metal ones in my Elmira wood stove, that's for sure. To put the pies on, of course. Oh, just made the best roast beef dinners ever. Best apple pies. I'm starting to drool. And you can see how teensy weensy these circles are. If my hand gets, yes, see how I put 1/8 of an inch to remind me of them. And the reason why I have numbers on them is that's how I file them. I file them, and then in a book I look for number 30, and then I know that number 30 is 1/8 of an inch round punch. So I'd have to revisit that video, how I made a book. And I did all of the makers of my punches, and I numbered all of them. And then I put those numbers with the maker in a different color in the book, who made the punch, and the name of the punch and the size. Very easy, easy peasy. So here we are. We're going to put chocolate chips on these little ones too. I love making mini things. Can I just jump in with that? I really, 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 really love making mini things. It's just so cute. Takes you back in time, you know, like you used to do when you were a young girl, and you'd be playing with your dolls and your buggy and dressing them up, and then you'd have your magnet puzzle pieces to dolls, and you would, you know, and you'd have your tea party sets. I can remember the porcelain little tea set my mom saved so diligently to get us girls a little table and tea party set so we could play. And we would play for hours. I have 3 sisters, so there's 4 of us girls, and we used to love to play teacher, you know, on the blackboard that we had in our basement and little schoolroom. And I'm trying to see that E marker. Oh, it's a 17. Excuse me. It's an E17. And so I'm just dabbing it oh so lightly. You can tell this is in fast mode, and you can see how careful I am to dab these little chocolate chips on there, so it didn't just look like one blob of a chocolate chip, you know. Then it could have been fudge cookies, I guess. So there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 on the top rack. Then I put my Nouveau, because Nouveau, this clear glue type stuff, the gluey stuff, it's thicker than my crystal lacquer. Crystal lacquer is thinner, and so I like that, and they dry nicely, and I don't know, it gave me the glue that when it went, if it were to go down the sides, it would secure my chocolate chips so they wouldn't come off. But I did use the art glitter glue to hold my chocolate chips onto the duct tape with the, you know, that we scored all those score marks in. And then once this is done and our doors are open and our cookies are secure, here is the packaging tape. You want to take that severed part on the top, you know, that corrugated part. That's where you're going to put your double-sided orange tape. Then you're going to fold this over ever so small. Let me just tell you that again. Ever so small. The cylinder will be enough so that when you put your tweezers in them, it is in them. I don't like to say in them, you that's how wide it is, you know, and then how deep it is. It depends on which paper you use on the inside of your cupboards, right? So I'm going to secure this down. I'm going to take the tape off. I'm going to roll it. And it doesn't matter if you press on it because this type of acetate doesn't wrinkle for some reason. And if it does, you don't notice it. And you won't notice it once we get our prills or seed beads. The pink colored veggies, can you believe it's pink? We have to think up something for the pink. There, I'm measuring my cylinder to see how deep I need to have these cut at. So I'm looking at it and concentrating. I'm sorry if I'm talking slow. I'm just trying to explain it to you so that it makes it easy to understand. So what we did was we made the cylinder, then we cut it all the way up. Now you're going to have to take, obviously you can see it's a package, so you have two sides of the acetate, right? Or the packaging. So you're going to end up cutting, it's going to flick over and you're going to cut that one part off. So we have our cylinder. See our tiny little cylinders? Now we need to have a bottom on it because we're going to fill them up with vegetables. Yes, this is our vegetable cupboard. So I just put glue around the bottom of the cylinder and laid it on top of the packaging piece. Okay, so it's standing up, and then when it dried in the morning, I cut around it so that I had the bottom of the glass jar secure, that I could put my little prills and my little seed beads in there. I use seed beads for my peas, and I use prills for whatever, it must have been some vegetable that was kind of gold, peachy colored. And so here I'm holding my little cylinder, and then look at that, I have that orange piece on my finger is the orange tape. Talk about static, right? It stuck the static to my finger. Yes. And it's daytime, and I'm silly. It's not even supper time. I'm going to have to get supper going. I'm going to have, what are we having tonight? Steak, baked potato with sour cream and chives and shredded cheese on it and mixed veggies. That's what we're having. And I bought fresh peaches that are out. The farms have their peaches out now, so I was able to get peaches and cherries, fresh cherries, right off the trees. Yum, yum. I'm having one as I'm doing the voiceover, actually a peach. So I'm sneaking a bite of my peach. So here we are. I'm making the round piece so that I can put my cylinder down on it. All three of them are going to go on one piece, and then we can cut them later as they were dry and have the bottoms to our jars, you know. And they are so crazy cute when you see it. And then you know the serrated part? That is going to be what's going to stabilize it onto the paper. So it's kind of flat. And there you go. I'm just trying to show you, slow it up so I can show you how they dried. Isn't that wonderful? And all you do is, it worked well to have a Teflon scissor to cut them. And look at how nicely they cut. You don't have to be gentle with them. This acetate packaging is so thin and easy to work with. You're going to love it. You're just not going to have a section of your, in my case, it was the stamp set. I just put it in a Ziploc baggie, and easy peasy. And now I kept the rest of it in case I want to do this project again or something similar. So you can see now our jars all have bottoms on them, and we can start filling them. Isn't that cute? It's funny, isn't it, how we think? Like, one thing we have to notice that not all jars are the same size and height. So you could take that into consideration when you're putting them in. I don't think I did. I think I pretty well kept them even. I could only fit 3 of them across on that upper row. Look at me here. I'm thinking I could fill this, like it would just fill up easy. Yeah, sure. Look at that. And you can see how tight I was squeezing it, can't you? Just by the way it's filling up there. But I ended up pinching it on the other side and making it round again. And then I'm going to remove my little cylinders and put it back in the jar. I am not going to lose my prills because, yeah, I love this coral color. I don't care what veggie comes in coral. Salmon veggies. And here's all my seed beads. I got this container at the dollar store where nothing's a dollar. You can see through, so I tipped these Martha Stewart seed bead collection that you can get at your box store. And that's what I keep my seed beads in. Easy peasy. And if you turn it upside down, you can see the color. They're all the same as far as dimension, and real easy to work with. And of course, they're going to be our packaged veggies. Oh yeah, here they are. Brown, which is gold. Gold veggies, green veggies, and coral veggies. Why not? Now, we have the acetate bottom, but I wanted to use the duct tape and make a silver twist lid. And I wanted it with that, yeah, right there. This is how we scored it to make the oven racks. Well, we are going to put this on top of, look at, isn't that a good close-up? And we're going to fill it with glue, the top part. If you didn't put enough of the prills or your seed beads in it, that's fine. Just fill it up with glue. It's clear glue. It's going to dry clear, so it doesn't matter. And then set one of these on top of each one to dry. Tip it upside down and let it rest overnight. And then that will be the beautiful lid to, to your, let's say, tall mason jar. I used to can, oh my, I canned all of our fruits and vegetables and tomato sauce and peppers, and back in the day by the bushels. I would not want to do that today. But, you do what you have to do when you're farming in your early days and your children are young. I used to love to can up all of my jams. I loved freezer jams. Do you? I'd love to hear it. Do you like your freezer jam, or do you like your jar jam if you make homemade jam? I'd like to know. I like the freezer strawberry jam. I like the grape jelly. I didn't freeze that, but I liked grape jelly. And apricots. Oh, I loved apricot marmalade. I used to make that. And so many things, that I don't do today. There's a close-up. There's the pin. And there's the seed beads. I'm sorry. There's the ends to my curtain rod. And that's what goes in between the beads when you make a project, earrings or a nice hat pin. And yeah, so we're on our way to being almost to the end of creating here. We have to make our table, of course, and we have to make I made the flowers so it looked like they were standing up. I'm going to show you that. And look at the little opening to the top cupboard over top of the old-fashioned stove. So it's morning. I'm taking some of the hard glue off the edges here, as much as I could get off, because you can tell it did seep and ooze there. So I'm going to get that off before I cut the top of the jar. And I'm telling you, when you open up these doors, my friends, and see how the die cuts in between both of them? It still has a connective point, but the die separates them, so it looks like a separate stove and a separate cupboard, but they match and they connect. Isn't that awesome? And I love that wall hanging wood piece. Wait till you see what I did with that. Then I'm going to, this is where I'm thinking of my decoration. It has a little die of flowers in there. I didn't want the top portion, but I did need some of the paper. So I sprayed it with some water from a spritzer, And then I peeled back the top stamped image of the flowers because I wanted to take the hot gun and dry it quickly and have that underlaying piece to set my spatulas and my whisk. And I think I did 2 spatulas and 1 whisk. And see how I just peel that piece off. Be very careful because it is wet. And then I took my pokey tool just to scrape the top by. Then I take a fine liner pen and draw across. This way I have a glass lid. I didn't want the bottom portion to look like glass. Otherwise I would have taken a carving knife and carved it. I wanted it to look like a porcelain bowl, you know, on the kitchen table with our spatula and spoon and inside of it. So that's what I did. I just took the first layer off of the flour so I could set my spatula and my spoon, whisk. And I wanted them to look like they were inside the porcelain jar here, the porcelain bowl. So you have to cut the bottom off where that round piece is. You'll notice it if you have this stamp set, you'll notice that it looks like you can hang them on a rack. Well, you're going to need to cut that bottom section off where that circle is. Otherwise, it looks like it's just sitting on top of the porcelain bowl. You don't want that, right? You want it to look like it's going down into the bowl. You're going to draw some little flowers, a little leaf with a permanent marker, black detailed tip marker. The Staedtler marker is what I used. And here's where I noticed you have to cut that bottom part off, Carol. And then I thought, you know, I really don't have to. I took another stamped image of this and I popped it up. I raised it up so that way it really does look like these utensils are down in the porcelain bowl. So you can do it either way. If you want them to be sticking straight up, you just have to take that round circle off. You don't want to see that. So I made a couple of leaves with my Staedtler detailed pen. It's a permanent black marker, so it's Copic friendly. And I just put my 2 spatulas from the set in the whisk. And then I'll cut off the white sheet of paper so you can't see that in the background. And we're on our way to a cute little vase sitting on our table. Isn't that sweet? So this one is the second one. I will cut the flowers right off. I'll put some double-sided tape on the back and raise it up. So I didn't need to do what I did to the flat one because I did want it to look 3-dimensional. So that's why I added that. Now we're going to concentrate on putting the top of that little piece on our porcelain bowl with our spatula, utensils, and whisk in there. And I want it to stand up just enough to give it that depth, to give it that illusion that it's actually standing straight up. And all you have to do there is put a few layers of Scotch double-sided, whatever double-sided tape you have. And I stamped 2 of these images. Excuse me there, I had to swallow. I was just finishing a bite of that peach. That was not nice. Excuse me for that. And we're going to put some of the new purple tape down. And it's not sticky, so you have to really press down on it. It doesn't have a real stick on it like the thicker of the purple tapes, but it's wonderful to use nonetheless. And we are going to start designing our table, our legs. It's another perspective thing, right? On how do I put down this glass table, and I used the scallop round dies that you get with the Slimline die set. This is a fabulous die set. I mean, it has 14 dies in there. Heart shapes, square shapes, it has a leaf, and it has all of these scallop circles. Plain circles, they're all dotted, they're beautiful. And so I took one of the scallops to make the table. And I'll show, oh, there, I'm just showing you finally the bottom's dried nice enough that I I had the lids on them, so I'm just showing you the bottom is glass, and the top is the duct tape with the lines on it. And isn't that wonderful? See the lines in that? It's hard with my lights, but I'm making it to look like a perfect circle on there. So as perfect as I could. You're not going to get it perfect, but you are going to get it to not overhang, although that would be a nice look, to look like a mason jar that it actually twisted. But I wanted you to be able to see the veggies on the inside, or whatever. It could be fruit, you know, little wee fruit. It sure is teensy wee, that's for sure. And it is so cute when you open up these cupboards. They actually open up. You're not going to close them because you have that three-dimensional feature. Then I'm going to take my Prismas. I'm going to color in this wood panel. This is the 6x6 paper that looks like it's wood grain. And I will color that in. Then I'm going to use the plain one that I stamped off on the white sheet of paper to have those little cups. I wanted the teacups to be in one of the cupboards sitting on the ledge. So I didn't know that yet. That's why I'm coloring in the bottom section, but I did just separate it and cut out the teacups, and that worked perfect for me. Now we're going to move along to cut the paper. I wanted to use a thicker paper for the legs on my table. So what I did, I took the scallop, I cut it so that the scallop was empty in the center. I added acetate, a thick layer of acetate to the back, cut around the actual tabletop to look like a glass tabletop. And then I'm going to cut my paper on the slant. That's what I'm showing you, just a slight slant to it so that we can make the pointed legs. I think back in the 50s there, it was fashionable to have these pointed wooden legs, skinny and narrow at the bottom, and then they fattened up at the top. So here I am just figuring out, do I want 3 or do I want 4 of the legs? And I went with the 4. It was easier to get the perspective of 4 than it was to have the 3. So I'll show you how I did that. We are now in design mode, so I'm going to get out my canned goods. We have our chocolate chip cookies. We're going to set 2 of them on the navy striped, and we're going to set 1 of them in the center of the top portion above the stove, because you have to remember that these doors are opening. They're not going to close because of having these little mini items in there, but that's good. I like that look. And I made envelopes to each one of these. When you saw the lighthouse picture, that had a matching envelope. I make it with the envelope maker, and I make it on the 4-inch by, the measurement is 4 by 8.5, because 8.5 is the largest size you're going to get on your envelope maker. So that's what I went with, 4 by 8.5, and it made the perfect envelope for this, even with the cupboard doors open, my friends. So I wanted to share that these Slimline cards from LDRS Creative, the Slimline Corner Scallop, has 14 dies in this. You have your outer edge, your inner edge. That's the inner part of the Slimline card. It's not an edge, it's the inner section. And then we have the outer, just a little bit larger, to seat it on. And we're going to decorate on this page. And as you can see, we do have the acetate connected to the round scallop with our beautiful porcelain jar or porcelain bowl that we're putting our utensils in on top of the tabletop. The seam is going to be covered with the hand or made with love breadboard that we're going to hang on that wallpaper. And now we have to connect the legs. Now the legs are going to be narrow on the bottom, but not as pointy as what I thought. So I do cut them off. I don't need much length, as you can tell with the checkerboard floor. So that's what you have to that's what you have to look at. And another thing you have to look at is that your legs are seated on a seam of the checkerboard. If that makes sense. It just makes it look more grounded. And I am going to raise it up one time. No, twice. No, maybe one. I have to see it here. Here, I'm just trying to think, okay, the back leg needs to be shorter, the two outer legs a little longer, and then the front middle leg longer yet. And you will see what I mean once I get it on there. And I tried to cut it off so that each leg was seated on the seam part of the tile, on the black and white tiles. And you'll also see that in a second. I'm going to go around it with Doris thin tape because it's 1/8 of an inch. And it's perfect. Take off the plastic off of your, I'm just taking a bit of glue off. That's with my dental stick. And you're going to see exactly what I mean when you're designing it to put it down. And how you seat that porcelain bowl to look like it's standing up. All it is just knowing how many double-sided strips you need to add to the height of your design. So here I'm just staring at it, trying to get this down. Now, you want to see the back leg, okay? So the two outer legs are going to be the same size, and then you're going to glue them down. So just make sure the two outer legs are the same size. The size that's going to be inside, you want to make sure that you center it, not quite all the way centered. Move it over just a tad to the right, that inside leg, so it looks like it actually is a stand-up leg. And then the bottom part is going to be the longer. So it's just going to be a tad longer than the two outside legs. And I'll show you what I mean of moving that back leg over a bit. You want to see that back leg. You can't connect them together so it looks like one leg coming down, right? You have to show that it's 4 actual legs on this gorgeous glass table. And then I took my C family markers. I think it was a C3 and a C5. To put a shadow on it. This shadow will make the ends, the pointed end of my legs on the table look more pointed. And I'll do it just with a diversionary Copic marker mark. If that makes any sense whatsoever. A diversional Copic mark. Yes, let's write that down. So here's my rounded Doris strips. You will be able to manipulate these much easier if you take the paper off, the front and the back. Take it off and then it'll just go. Cut it around. I'm trying to see, I think I just put this up one time on the floor. So I have to situate it. Okay, the center part is going to be more so that, that wooden shelf that we have the dishes on. This is that fantastic roll, that great big roll that I bought from Scrapbook Adhesives. I'll leave the link for that. I got that in Port Colborne shop. Stamplicity. Yes, get it down. And I do put a lot of tape on. I don't want any warping. I want it to seat on that scallop. This has the stitching on the bottom of the scallop. And you can see that we have to put our breadboard to cover the seam. So that's the next step. I kind of move everything out of the way so that I can concentrate on the design of this card. Look at that floor. There's the seam over to the right because it's 6 inches, right? You have that 6-inch mark in the paper. Then I'm going to seat this down so it's totally covered. I did raise it up with the Doris strips on the back, or maybe the white strip. Just raise it up a little bit with whatever you have. And it just is a cute, cute addition to this set. So I put that on the wallpaper to cover the seam, and then I'm going to put, I'm trying to decide the table, and I did put it over to the right. I wanted the floor to stand out, as well as my focal point, which is the stove and the cupboard, the stamp set, obviously. That's what I'm showcasing for you for the LDRS Creative Design Team project. And I wanted to showcase a beautiful table. Now see how the table legs, they fit on the tiles there, just slightly over a little bit. And then I put the double-sided tape too high, like two on top, one on top of the other, so that they were too high. And we're going to put that down. You can raise it up as much as you want, but remember, it's going to slide into an envelope that we create, which is on your scoreboard, 4 inches by 8.5 inches, and you're going to cut your paper at 10 3/4, and then the rest of it is just used with your scoreboard. If you have the scoreboard, you'll understand what I'm saying there. And here we go. We're going to seat this down so that it doesn't overhang from the top piece of the scallop border. I love the way it's punched out on each corner. Then I love the wallpaper. I love everything about this creation. I'm so glad my brain thunk it up. Yes. And yeah, that's why it takes me just a little bit of time to get these tutorials up. My edits are long, many hours into one of these card projects. And then I have to edit it down, you know, for probably 16 hours to an hour and a half. Take out all of the portions I need to take out. And then it takes me a day to do this voiceover. And we're just about finished. I think we have about 14 minutes left. So let's design. We're going to put our stove. I had a little hair right there. Drove me crazy. So there you have it. I'm going to show you how deep you have to work with when you open up the cupboard doors, the oven doors. The oven doors do lie flat because we just have the chocolate chip cookies in there. But we do have the peas in the glass jar. And we do have the cup and saucers. To the left, I'm going to put the 2 cups because this is going to be cut out of the wooden piece that we're going to hang there. So the one that we have hanging on the wallpaper. So we're just going to cut the teacups out and place them inside the cupboard doors. And they look perfect. For some reason, I ended up coloring that bottom one navy. And the orange-red matched the dishes that were underneath there. And I think the dishes matched what was inside the prills. The salmon-colored is prills, and the seed beads is the gold one, and the pea green-colored one. And I'm just going to open it up and give you a close-up on how it looks. And aren't interactive cards gorgeous? We have that beautiful curtain rod going across with the curtains raised up double, so it looks like they're seated right up on the curtain rod. You have those rings perfectly situated. You have your chocolate chip cookies, the tiny ones, the bigger ones. Everything is perfect, and they do fit nicely inside of that envelope. And then you have the glass table. We did a gusset of 1/8 of an inch. We're going to mark that off. I did not use a score tool to flatten it. I think if when you do that, you risk the thicker cardstock, because mine is 140-pound cardstock. So you risk getting some creases on there. So I just made the folds with my hands. Just manipulating it. I put a black cardstock on the inside. I cut it out with the same die, the inner die. I'm using the Xyron 1/2 inch roller of the tape, and I'm going to put that on with the art glitter glue. So this is really going to hold well on the inside. You want it to really be snug and secure. Now we're winding down to the end. We're going to put some art glitter glue on the double-sided runner. We're going to seat that on the inside. The actual image, I'm going to raise it up with that white double-sided tape roll, and it's going to just be raised up enough to have that 3-dimensional look to it. I'll slow the video down in the next segment here so you can see the actual design using this stamp set, Country Kitchen. The stamps, you have 10 stamps. The die, you have 6 coordinating dies. You have an 1/8 of an inch gusset on the top of your card base. And you have the checkerboard flooring with the shiny crystal lacquer over top to give it that feel of a checkerboard floor. You can see how this interactive card, you can see the canned goods. You know that it's an oven because you have chocolate chip cookies cooking. You have the teacups to match the silverware on the bottom. And everything just seems to coordinate well. It shuts fully on the top, and you really don't need that one cupboard that has the curtains there. You don't need that to shut tight because you did raise up the curtains on the rod. Aren't they cute little chocolate chip cookies on that wire? And all we used was duct tape on top of the white cardstock, so that worked out perfectly. And then all we have to do is put the inside, the back side of the black paper, and this card is finished. On the, I'm just showing you how the floor has that shiny look to it. And I love the table. I like the way that the utensils in that porcelain bowl is raised up. I did run the black pieces through the Xyron. This is the 5-inch Xyron machine. That way you just have to take your bone folder, crease it down so that it sticks to the underneath spot, and then you can put it right down on securely on the back side. And what I did was I took on the Slimline corner die, the 14-piece set, I took the heart die out and I just put a white heart on the back. Then I'm going to do the same thing on the inside section of this card in black. And then I put one of the sentiments. Be very careful if you're using Xyron tape, by the way. It wants to stick immediately. And then I took a punch. I punched out the sentiment that says from with love from my kitchen. And I'm going to open that piece up. Just let me see. It says from the kitchen of. And I'm just taking my square ruler to make sure that it's seated on there, because the little section where you put your name is just a tad on the slant side. It's slanted just a tad, so you want to concentrate on the punched out piece when you set that down. And then I put the other stamped image from the paper that has the background of the wood shape, and we are all set. This is finished, my friends. I will make the envelope, which I already made. I will show you that in the pictures. Have yourself a blessed week as always. I hope you will go over. I'll put all the links over on my blog that will take you directly onto these at the shop, so you can see the country kitchen set, the stamp set with the matching coordinated dies. And this is just one of the inspirational cards that you will get from all of us that create for LDRS Creative. Okay, so enjoy the pictures, and I will see you on the next tutorial. Take care, everybody.